A few years ago, alternate dimensions and the real world began to merge. Surprisingly, the monsters that emerged from the alternate dimensions were eerily similar to countless urban legends. Suddenly, those legends became reality. Giant rats with chainsaws and monsters that only existed in stories began massacring humans. But humans have awakened and are called hunters. Already on the university campus, we found a young man buying bread, or rather, pancakes. And so far, the probability of portals still seems very low, not disrupting the lives of most ordinary people. The world continues to function normally, even with monsters everywhere, and he still thinks the bread is very good, but the pancakes seem to be cheaper. Since the beginning of the strange appearance of that phenomenon as an ordinary F-level person, he continued to live his life almost the same as in the past, always having so much difficulty making two choices, bread or pancake. That was all he had difficulty, or even fear of facing the unknown. He then arrived in his classroom while two girls were talking. It seems like a perfume over there is really catching the two of them's attention. Look, that guy is in love with this girl. Her name is Liia. She immediately says good morning to him, and he responds, good morning, all blushing. He never thought about declaring himself to her, because this guy is totally indecisive when he has to make a choice. If his life could be like buying breakfast, that would be great, but he still remains indecisive. In short, he would be very good at trying out countless life possibilities, and in the end, he could choose the best one and move on. He is thinking about choosing again after seeing the future, right? But soon he decides to live an honest and simple life, and suddenly, he sees a portal opening in the sky. Wow, in the middle of the city, everyone is scared. What could be happening? And then, suddenly, a bee knocks on the door, coming in with several mouths open and smiling. He realizes that those are creatures that came out of a portal, while that buzzard starts to scream and smile, saying, "It's time for the call." Suddenly, one of the students starts screaming that he is going to die, and suddenly, his head explodes. Bah! The first one was already in a ditch. Our protagonist gets up, while that one continues laughing. Now he wants to massacre the next one. All the students there start running extremely fast, but their heads start exploding one after another. The protagonist is still standing, completely immobilized with fear. All the students who tried to leave ended up dying. What if he climbs out that window? Does he have any chance? But he looks to the side and sees his beloved. Once again, he is faced with a choice. Obey his survival instinct or follow his conscience. What should he do? And surprisingly, for the first time in his life, he made a quick choice and asked for her hand quickly so they could escape through the door or jump out the window. She reaches out to him, crying in fear, but suddenly he only sees several explosions. That scene is a total scene of despair and extreme pain. They filled it with blood. Then, unfortunately, he died. And suddenly he wakes up and sees, what? Didn't I just die? A déjà vu, my dear. He looks ahead and sees the two girls looking at the perfume again, and she greets him while he wonders if he died. That's pretty weird, huh? Suddenly, a blue system screen appears. You have acquired the ability to predict the future. The skill demonstration has just occurred. From now on, that ability can be used officially. Predicting the future has an expiration time of 10 minutes and a cost of 10 mental energy points, single use. Damn, a pretty good skill, huh? 10 minutes. So it means that what just occurred now was a simulation of the future, and only he can see this system interface. So if he has two options to choose from, he can predict the future. He can choose between the two and see which is the better option. Very stolen. He's confident now. As long as he predicts the events of the next 10 minutes, he can find a chance of survival. And from what he remembers, the moment the spider went all the way down the window was the moment the stick started to fall off the leaf. Time flows irreversibly forward, and he doesn't have much time to think. The spider continues to descend, and he needs to predict the future quickly. He then activates his future prediction ability and enters a projective state, and boom, he starts telling everyone to run, because things are going to fall. His priority is to get everyone out of the room. He enters the room and starts telling everyone that the monster will come through the door, and they can quickly escape through the window, but no one believes him. Nobody moves. Complete silence. The other girl said that guy is getting scary. Is that what he's doing there? While he thinks that no one believes what he is saying, when that anomaly arrives, it will be too late to run. And suddenly, your prediction is complete. And boom, there's the anomaly, smiling, saying it's recess time, guys. And several heads get blown off again, ending the ability to predict the future, returning to a normal state. How disgusting, my brother. The scenes are completely disgusting. and the smell of blood is still in your nose. The other girl notices that he is very restless. Unfortunately, our boy couldn't convince the students to flee before the being could blow their heads off. So, should he do it? Does that mean he should just block the classroom door? It will be. And if students realize that there's a monster trying to enter the room, they will want to jump out the window and escape. Then he goes into his premonition state and starts running in the halls of the room. A guy smoking a cigarette in the classroom starts yelling at him. You can't believe that guy over there is running in the middle of the room. Our boy already closes the door and locks it. If he can stop that monster from getting in, everything will be fine. But suddenly, the monster is already there. Roll call time, my dear students. And once again, several heads are blown off. The sound went through the door, just hearing that monster caused everyone's death. Unfortunately, our boy cannot bear so much pain, so much smell of blood. He's going to have to go through this again. Even though we know it's just a simulation, the sensations of death are so real. But he thinks, why does he have to save that bunch of people? And the people in that room there, he doesn't even know well. Once again, he is faced with a choice. He must follow his survival instinct or follow his conscience. But again, it smells good and feels smooth. The girl comes closer to him and asks if he is feeling okay. He looks a little pale. Does he want to go to the infirmary or take some medicine? Some other guys also think he ate something bad or spoiled. He'd better go and rest, because the teacher will make a roll call later. And suddenly, all they hear is the little voice. Roll call time, my dear students. But unlike other times, this time, he felt and realized something very different. The first choice is a person's subconscious that reveals the truest inner self. So no matter how many times history repeats itself, he will always make the same choice. He then enters the prediction state once again, and decides to attack the monster first. As he stands there shouting that it's roll call time, and the first to die now is him, Li Xiaorui, his head is completely blown up in the air. He can even change the order of the call so he can kill you first. His energy depletion is increasing. It seems that the more miserable and desperate his death is, the more mental energy is consumed. He then decides to stay calm and try one more time. He switched the order to send Ding out first, and once again, he lost. And now he's had his head and his loved one's head blown off. That didn't work either, and it increasingly consumes energy. Hiding doesn't seem to work either. He's running out of stitches. Now mental energy depletion is at 88 out of 157 and has consumed 13, 10, 14, 10, 15, 20, 11. Damn. Several times he died. Mental exhaustion is now at 1. As he looks to the side and sees the spider coming down the window, he smells Li's familiar scent and realizes that's it, the perfume. Now, he found a solution. This is his last chance, and according to his abilities, from that moment on, at any moment the monster could enter the room, massacring dozens of students just with the sound of his mouth. And there are only 30 seconds left. Then, suddenly he gets up and tells everyone that he is feeling a tremor. Damn! An earthquake started. The girl there already said that everyone should go to the sports field to try to take shelter. And now there are 29 seconds left. 28, 27. While the students think that this guy must be joking, the building is just shaking a little. That's normal. And some didn't want to study at all. They wanted to get out of there. While he thinks that, firstly, he can't tell anyone that there are monsters coming that way, because no one will believe him. So he has to have enough of a strategy so that no one can confirm whether it is true or not. Then he takes the perfume from the girl's table and continues shouting that there is an earthquake. Everyone is supposed to get out of there by jumping out the window, because they don't have much time to think. But are you aware that they are on the second floor? While other people also shout that there is an earthquake there. One guy just thinks it's really lucky that their room is on the second floor, because it looks like it's shaking so much. Suddenly, he feels some spasms and starts cursing the protagonist, saying that the guy is crazy. While the protagonist just thinks he has to leak before the monster enters the room, the guy starts shouting back there, while he thinks he has to make more people and jump more. And now there are 23 seconds left. He pulls on one of the girl's collars while they were deciding whether to run or not. Everyone is confused, and they need more time to be able to evacuate. And now there are 20 seconds left. Some bastards over there think there's no earthquake at all. He doesn't believe it, while someone else is just playing. Others there continue to sleep. There are always students who are unfazed, and the monster is about to enter the room. There simply isn't time to fool all the students and make them leave. And he keeps telling everyone to run. And look, half of the students have already managed to jump, but the monster is about to arrive. A strong man in the room tells everyone to jump. and suddenly, one of the guys outside, almost jumping out the window, notices a strange light in the sky, and it looks like it's getting really dark. And there are only 18 seconds left. 15 seconds, 12 seconds, 11 seconds. A portal is opening. This appears to be a parallel dimension. The monster is coming. Some people scream for help, while others tell everyone to run away. 10 seconds. Half of the students have already jumped. Only the other half remains. Unfortunately, the last 10 seconds weren't enough to evacuate everyone. He has a new idea. Since he couldn't get everyone to leave the room, he has to stop the monster from attacking more students after entering the room, and he needs to stop it. Now there are 7 seconds left. Then he takes a match and strikes it. Before, he was just speculating about the logic of the monster's attack. In 6 seconds now, and after several simulations, 5 seconds, he discovered what the answer would be. He throws the lit match into the perfume bottle and sets it on fire. With 4 seconds left, the monster already puts its hand on the door. He knows that that monster's only ability is calling. With 3 seconds left, the monster finally presents itself, saying, "It's roll call time, dear students." So that guy's attack logic is very simple. He is prepared, looks at the animal's face and tells him to try to stop him if he is able, and throws the burning perfume bottle into the monster's mouth. Precisely, his tactic is to burn your vocal cords, thus preventing the attack of sound waves. With 1 second left, the monster was unable to activate its ability because its vocal cords are all on fire, while the school's music is turning the rock volume up to maximum. He closes the door quickly and tells everyone to get out of there. He has to isolate the sound emitted by him at all costs. This way, he will be able to stop it and be able to save everyone in that room. And maybe, except him. The monster keeps trying to get in, while everyone has already left. He decides to leave too, but his head starts to spin. He is completely exhausted because he uses a lot of mental energy, and his head hurts a lot, but he continues to walk slowly before blacking out. He knows that strange entity is about to enter. He doesn't have any hero feelings in his head. All he has now is regret, and also fear. His mental energy is at a point of 57. If he knew what it was like to be a hero, what would he do now? He looks at his hands as he begins to lose consciousness. However, if there was a next time, maybe he would. Then, suddenly, he notices a hand, and there it is, saying that he's going to run away with it. She starts to carry him, and they both jump out of the room, and already outside, everyone is watching that dark dimension in the sky, and he finally made it. He saved everyone, every student in that room, but he looks at his beloved's face, and sees that she is quite scared, observing that strange dimension in the sky. The portal is now fully open, and several horrifying and very grotesque creatures emerge from inside. A worm with one eye and a mummy with a really weird mouth, and some kind of frog mixed with a tadpole, I don't know, with several mouths and eyes. Damn, what a crazy animal. And even an animal that looks like, I don't know what, you're crazy. Some endless monsters advancing and attacking. They're all fucked up. Now that the portal is fully open, all those strange creatures are heading towards ordinary humans. And unlike the others, he is the only one awakened there. Everyone seems to be going to the ditch, but suddenly, a kind of magical shield protects them. They are saved. This is a barrier. Has the Hunters Association arrived? While the monsters try to attack that barrier, some people ask them not to move, and the captain is on his way. They will be saved soon. A girl appears using some kind of space teleportation. She is Ling, an awakened space-type S-rank hunter. She's the vice captain of the strongest team, and he, who was acting cold, thinks this is all very good. Finally, he will be safe. But inside that barrier, everyone is pushing each other. A complete push-push. And suddenly, one of the guys there puts his foot in front of one of the girls and pushes her back, and she falls out of the barrier. Damn. And then the protagonist's friend of the friend, Tian. Everyone asks the boy to go there and help her, but the guy just says that the hunters can save her. Apparently that barrier wouldn't last long, and the monsters are already watching that girl. Who will save her, poor thing? One of the horrifying monsters that looks like some kind of praying mantis with a human head grabs the girl and begins to devour her alive, chipping away. But then, the protagonist, with blood in his veins, finds a really big pair of scissors and tells the monster to let go of them, while she's there being chewed up, begging for someone to save her. The guy just tells her to hold on for a while. Then, the barrier starts to fall apart, and the girl soon tells everyone to get out of there. Apparently, it looks like it's going to rain. The monster watches those crystals falling to the ground, and it looks like it has an S-rank hunter, nation attacker with energy manipulation skill and fundamental ice conjuration. Those huge ice crystals fall and start freezing several monsters there. A monster that was chewing on the woman is now completely frozen, and the shield girl's energy is completely dissolved, releasing everyone. There he is, passing the White Association branch report. A strange attack event in the suburban university town has been completely succeeded. An extermination has been completed. Everyone starts to thank you. The hunter arrived. Everyone starts to thank that guy. The hunter finally arrived to save everyone. Those strange creatures were defeated in one fell swoop. How incredible. Some people there start asking for his autograph while he says that everyone is safe. While the guy looks like a fool, the protagonist comes very close and elbows the guy in the middle of the head. He catches and pulls him by the tie and starts to say that if he didn't see someone screaming outside the barrier. And there she is, the girl, still in the monster's mouth. Unfortunately, that guy killed her too. The kids over there are crying, poor Tien. While the protagonist's system searches for more information about that guy, our protagonist tells that guy that he knew there was someone outside the barrier. Why did he still attack? That means he killed her on purpose. But the guy exuding his power tells the protagonist who he is to be talking so loud to him. That guy looks like a who has never participated in a battle. Saving everyone? After so many years as a hunter, I never dared to have this foolish dream. He then takes the protagonist's hand and says very quietly, if I couldn't kill all these creatures at once, the barrier would break, and those strange creatures would invade the crowd, and everyone would be dead. You should thank me for saving thousands of people instead of just one. His feet now start to freeze as he asks what he would choose. But the protagonist says, but what if? The guy already interrupts. And if there is a kid way, when you have the ability to make choices, then judge my approach. One guy just tells everyone to call the other members and close the other portal. Otherwise, those creatures will leave without stopping. The next day, everyone starts to thank our protagonist Xiao Rei for being able to save everyone. If it weren't for him, everyone there would have gone to the ditch. That class is really lucky to have him as a class hero. And look, that captain is extremely cold. He killed that girl along with the creatures. If it weren't for him, everyone would stay alive. But unfortunately, one of the classmates said that if it weren't for Tian Tian, maybe everyone would have died. Xiao Rei says it wasn't his fault. Maybe I was a little impulsive. He's not wrong. He's a hero who saved everyone, who is only thinking about the greater good. He remembers the scene of that girl, very worried about him wanting to call a nurse for him, or maybe give him some medicine to help him, while thinking that he hopes that everyone has the right to survive, and next time he wants the power to choose. So he wants to become an elite hunter, stronger than himself. An additional motivation for our protagonist, which is nothing less than the remorse and regret of not being able to save that girl. Some time ago, in the municipal university city, there were several cases of suicide, and the students were even getting used to it. It was a routine thing. And look, at that time, there was a lot of bullying. That kind of thing was totally normal. Many students have personally witnessed and experienced horrific bullying. What was surprising is that the police that year almost never received calls for help from victims of bullying. And look, the bullies who practiced this kind of thing only got worse over time, having an increasingly inflated ego, and the situation was becoming increasingly terrifying, and several students were dying. At that time, the only place for victims to turn for help was their own teachers, but the teachers didn't care. They always blamed the victim. It's the same thing as convicting a guy who was robbed for robbery. Oh, they robbed you because you were walking in the wrong place. The guy started saying that he is not responsible for anyone there. He is only responsible for their learning. If it's bullying, you better go to the police. That guy's father was the mayor, and his father is so incompetent. So naturally, the son of an incompetent will also be an incompetent. The negligent attitude of all teachers towards bullying is regrettable, but that was the final nail in the student's coffin. The All-Humanity Preparedness Association of the Royal City's Marine Branch was preparing to investigate the source of the strange suicide of the students on that trip. They saw the last of his cold face and his teachers. This means that the strange dark origin became the entrail and eventually appeared in the real world. This is the opening portal of that strange trip. A large number of official protesters appeared in the 342 rooms of 3 universities in the university city in a short period of time. The news appeared in several newspapers, and the guys said that several students had died, releasing many more monsters from the other world. Our protagonist watched the news on his television and then went through the records of each deceased person. He takes out his cell phone and begins to realize that, after that day, the school gave everyone a week off to stay home, and he is no exception. He begins to notice in the class chat that the last message he had received was from Tian Tian, who asked him if he needed some medicine. While a class leader found this all very strange, he would be the big hero. Did he have any inside information? He doesn't think he's a hero, on the contrary. Then, a notification from the Hunters Association. Hello, awakened from Class F, Li Xiaorui. Your life bag for this month has been deposited. Please, you'd better check. He now has an attribute panel. Strength 13, Agility 11, Constitution 7, Mana 0, Mentality 58, Unawakened status. Not only is he a low-level awakened, but he has a non-awakened status. And besides, F level isn't very rewarding. He starts to unbutton his clothes and thinks that 10 years ago, since his mother disappeared, he lost his source of support, and to continue studying, he had to rely on a necklace that his mother left behind. He disguised himself as an F-rank awakener for that Hunter Association. Although he couldn't become a hunter, he could receive a small monthly stipend for roused. That magic necklace can create a small space in storage for items up to about 50 pounds. For an awakening person, it is a pretty rubbish ability, but unfortunately, it cannot be detected by the association's machines. That necklace, that photo, those are the only things his mother left behind, poor guy. Even though her face mysteriously disappeared currently, he can barely remember what his mother looked like. How strange. But besides appearance, every memory he had with his mother since childhood is also gone. Everything is gone, bro. Except for the night his mother disappeared. That was the night he lost all his memories and woke up with his mental power increased. He has heard that several people say that a large boost of mental power can increase their abilities. A week ago, after the stranger arrived, he slept one night. Not only was his mental power restored, but also the total value increased from 57 to 58, a huge increase. Did he actually gain the system ability? Maybe it has nothing to do with awakening, but he's not an awakened yet. In that era, he has many awakened, but they are completely useless, and only a half dozen have above normal combat power that can be called hunters carrying out missions to kill strange monsters. He spent the entire week analyzing the situation. Now, he decided to apply to the Hunter Association, become an official hunter, but maybe thinking about becoming a hero, but maybe also to improve his skills with each battle, and thinking that next time he can save someone. And look, the higher the level of the hunter, the greater the access to confidential information he has. Perhaps he can see more things about his past and discover or find his mother. Then, a little later, at the Marine branch of the Hunter Association, unfortunately, the request to become a hunter was refused. In that association, there are rarely awakened of lower level than B, and the task of hunting strange monsters is no joke. But he just says he doesn't want to become a hunter. In fact, the reason he's there today is that he wants to start improving his skills more and become the best hunter of all time. But he gives her a little smile and says that the reason he's there today is to reevaluate his skill level. Ah, if so, then you can. Unfortunately, his ability only allows him to deduce what might happen in the last 10 minutes. But she advises him not to get his hopes up, because the awakened usually don't lead to drastic ability changes. She will inform him of the results, and in the worst case, they will have to try again. Suddenly, he sees that pair, or that team of awakened. The guy is already being sent on a D-level mission, and he just said that they will arrive at the location in 30 seconds. Or a relative of the master there. Oh, that squad is pretty famous. Some want autographs, and others are completely melted because of that guy. Speaking of which, he's very popular, and he notices our protagonist's presence. This means he still remembers him, but the guy just talks amateurish and walks past him. The guy was furious and wanted to duel with him, but the girl soon stopped him, saying that he would kill him as if it were a joke. And the deduction countdown continues, and now at 5 minutes and 55, they are getting closer to the assessment laboratory. He asks her, imagine if there was a hunter who could predict what was going to happen in the next 10 minutes. What level of evaluation would he receive? Was it at least C or A or S level? Would he be powerful enough to be a white hunter? But she soon deduces that he doesn't understand anything about being a hunter in this world. If someone awakens any time-related ability, can predict the future, or go back in the past, for example, they would immediately be classified as the highest rank, SSS level. Damn it, now he was motivated. extremely powerful, but she soon concluded that he would quickly be arrested by the highest institution in the country, being considered an extremely important strategic weapon, protected for the rest of his life, out of sight. That means it's just a life sentence. He now concludes that that incredible ability would really catch the attention of everyone in that shadow hunter organization. People would always be planning how to kidnap him. Now he chipped in. He wants to be a great hunter, but not like this. She asks him if he knows how hunters' skill levels are evaluated. Not just how powerful they are at the moment, but about their potential. Does he know how crucial the ability to predict the next 10 minutes is in the face of a national war? Nowadays, the success or failure of major wars is decided in just an instant. If they could predict the 10 minutes of a national war or predict the success or failure of an important assassination, this skill would never be considered trash. It would be considered crucial for any country. But now realizing the extent of his ability, he notes that he was very calm after discovering his ability, because he could only think about what the results would be after confessing to that girl. And in those last days, his ambition was just to predict whether there would be one more buyer in the premium codes on the store's drink cans. She looks at him sideways and says that the last time she heard about a time-related awakened was from a lady who had an ability to change the past. However, she is about 24 years old. She inexplicably left the national headquarters of the Hunter Association, and in those years, dark hunter organizations have been looking for her and have never seen her whereabouts again. Then, finally they arrive. She looks to the side and tells him that the tests are going to start. But where is the guy? He's already running away thinking about national war, shadow organizations, prisoners of war. He just wanted to find his mother, maybe solve some problems he has related to money. He doesn't have any defense skills and can't join the Hunter Association now. He can't let anyone discover his deduction skills, and the countdown is at 58 seconds. He almost forgot that he was in the state of deduction. Today he ended up there, and if it doesn't work out, maybe he'll give up on his goal of becoming a hunter. At the end of the day, that guy is nothing more than an ordinary student. He's better off leaving saving the world to heroes like white people. Suddenly he looks up and sees an empty teleporter. Ah, that skill is the vice leader's skill of the birds. Suddenly, that bloody girl falls into the room, apologizing, saying that the mission level is not D. She starts saying that everyone is dead and falls to the floor again, full of thorns embedded in her body. Everyone starts calling the medical team to try to save her, but unfortunately, it seems like it's already too late. This means that an entire squad was killed in less than 10 seconds, and his deduction countdown was completed. After thinking for a long time, the only thing he can do is cause confusion. He is then determined to try and do something, because the squad's best team is about to be completely decimated. He decides to stop it. Then, he arrives at the scene where the guy is saying that the difficulty level of his mission is D, and they will arrive at the location in 30 seconds. While everyone is admiring that guy, he enters the scene, passing everyone, and getting very close to that guy. While she says there are only 10 seconds left, and she will teleport everyone to the mission location. 9, 8, but before 7, the guy already arrives with the blow right in the middle of the guy's face, throwing him away. Naturally, he needs to delay him for a few minutes at least, so he can avoid the group's extinction after 10 minutes. Nobody in that room believed what that guy just did. He comes closer, pulls the guy by the tie and says, "Well now, if it's not Jesse, how long, Jesse? What happened to you?" Everyone in that room gasps. Jesse was beaten there in front of everyone for the second time. While the protagonist is looking really bad inside, he is apologizing and begging not to be killed by that guy. But the guy being pulled by his tie starts to pop his veins, and only tells the protagonist if he has already thought about his last words. Normally, that guy doesn't attack the weakest, but for him, he's going to make an exception, attacking him twice inexplicably. Oh, that's too much. He closes his fists and prepares to hit that guy in the face, while he's thinking that he can only stop them from reaching the mission location. Even if it's just to delay for 10 minutes, it could change the outcome of 2 deaths, 3 seconds. But that also means he at least needs to hold them for 10 minutes, 2 seconds. Unfortunately, he acted compulsively again to try to stop them as the countdown continues, 1 second. The girl soon activates the teleportation, while the clown says that she is just a mission-fulfilling machine, and his boss wanted to end the fight. Everyone there is teleported to the mission location, including the protagonist. Now the hunt for the ghost god will begin. Not only did he fail to stop them, but he was also taken along to the mission site. Now, maybe he can die along with those guys. The girl begins to tell him that, at the time of teleportation, due to the physical contact between the leader and the newcomer, they were teleported together, but her power is not enough for 6 people at the same time, and the newcomer has 0 power. So, he couldn't bring the clown and the dream together. That is, if the entire squad was decimated. That situation was fatal for him. Thanks to him, 2 main members are now missing, in exchange for an F member. But she only says that a D-level mission is extremely simple, and there shouldn't be much danger there. She starts to remind everyone there that they were fighting a while ago, right? Does he still want to screw that guy up? But the nervous guy still says he has to finish the mission first, while looking at the newbie, wondering what he's thinking, still very angry. And look, last time, he spoke so saintly. This guy hit him twice in the face and now he's acting like he was a saint. Could that guy be crazy? Have a mental illness? Yeah, maybe you could definitely be that. He then grabs the protagonist's head and asks why he is so scared. He decided not to take revenge on that guy personally, but after the mission is completed, he will inform the hunting association and then hunt you down. Just wait. The protagonist, crying and mockingly cold, says that he now has the last 10 minutes to live. He decides to use this time to think about the style of his coffin. Are you crazy? And how will he die, huh? Will he die like those insects stuck on stakes? Maybe no one will even be able to collect the pieces of his body. Within 10 minutes, a huge crisis will happen. The people on the city team, the strongest, think this mission is D-level, but it's actually S-level. All they think about is getting out of there. He can't worry about saving anyone other than himself. He needs to get away from that troublesome place as quickly as possible. But when he starts to run, someone pulls him by the shirt, saying that a beginner can't go out alone. It's very dangerous. Even though he doesn't like protecting weaklings like himself, that's the responsibility of stronger guys. And during the mission, as long as he is okay, companions will be okay too. So he shouldn't leave his field of vision. He's going to protect that rookie's safety. The guy starts crying, thinking he should stop saying that. This makes it even harder for him to leave them and run away. Speaking of which, the sky is very clear and nothing normal has appeared. Not even a portal has appeared in that sky. So, after all, is it really a D mission? One guy went on to say that within the association, the division checkers noticed. They detected unusual activity right there. And they only came to investigate there because there were just a few anomalies that came up, and they're usually just manifestations of individual complaints, so they're pretty weak. That village is part of the outskirts of the city, with few residents. While the guy explains, the protagonist continues crying and sweating coldly. After all, that guy keeps patiently explaining every step. A completely understanding and patient guy. But the guy watches the protagonist and wonders, why is that guy crying while he explains the content of the mission to him? And he just thinks that guy's a psychiatric patient. The guy's crazy, but suddenly someone arrives asking, wow, you're the hunters, aren't you? Where's the rest? Wasn't it supposed to be 5? How come there are only 4 there? And it looks like one is just rubbish. That guy is the president of the Residents Association of that village. He was the one who reported to the association's investigators about a demon statue found in a condominium storage room. He asks the hunters to go with him. That old man is a bit strange, I would suspect. There, halfway, in various wreckages, a place completely broken, destroyed. They continue talking. The president of the residents there continues to say that with each passing decade, it seems that society forgets that they exist. People there want to get rich overnight, and some even started to believe in those dirty things, those sects. One guy doesn't want to hear anything, but the rest of the team is very attentive. An old man keeps saying that their son is the same age as you, and he just stays on his cell phone all day. And by the way, when he was younger, he was quite handsome. Apparently, that street over there is much poorer, and the residents have a very low income, poor things. There are some fruit stands that look like some kind of fair, but they're missing fruit. That's all, my brother. The fruits look fresh, but no one has the money to buy them. But why don't they see any meat stalls? Can't they pay? Is it just his impression? But it seems like there are no children there. Does this mean that the birth rate is extremely low? No, it's possible. Suddenly, a piece of paper comes flying and sticks it in his face. He takes and observes a photo of a girl. Apparently, that's a missing persons ad. Children easily disappear there. but that missing person announcement has no name, no date, no age, nothing. What a strange thing, huh? Then, suddenly, they arrive. That one is the large warehouse abandoned many years ago in that old condominium. A few days ago, when they took out everything inside, they found a large demonic statue. The president of the Residents Association tries to open the hard lock, but his key won't open it again. He already told someone to fix it, but they haven't come yet. Ever since they arrived, that guy has had a bad feeling. If there is an unexpected situation, prioritize people's safety, then the investigation mission, and protect the civilian and the newbie first. A guy looks back and asks what the kids are whispering. Children should not interrupt their elders. What are they talking about? It seems like you spent a lot of time on your cell phone and didn't learn anything good. Oh, catching the attention of a stranger. Okay, she managed to open it. In that place, they call themselves a cult of luck. That statue is his god. Followers are said to sacrifice blood to that god. A god brings extreme luck and happiness to the souls of followers. Our protagonist, when he sees that statue, is tremendously horrified. Damn, it has several heads around it and several spines. A completely grotesque situation. Those bones over there apparently are the same bones from the attack the bilingual vice captain suffered earlier. So they are the only survivors there? If they calculate, it has been almost 10 minutes since the start. A danger is about to arrive. Suddenly, that door comes down and hits the floor, locking them inside. The door has now been sealed. While the team leader tells everyone to stay calm and prioritize the protection of that civilian woman and then the newbie, but that old lady starts to smile. She pulls out a knife and says she thought 5 would come, but only 4 came. Last time, to cure my grandfather's illness, I agreed to 5. Missing one is not good. This will complicate things more. She starts to smile and grind her teeth. Okay, 5 lives for God. And suddenly, she takes it and plunges the knife into your neck, still smiling. Since there is one left, she will join together and form 5 sacrifices. Suddenly, an earthquake begins in that region. Everything starts to shake. As she falls to the ground, lifeless, the real crisis is coming. Even though this was the strongest team, they were completely annihilated. Then, it starts its simulation of the same state. A girl starts saying that the space transfer power isn't enough to take everyone away, but she also won't leave them there and go alone. The president's blood begins to bubble, and some drops begin to float, heading towards that dead body. Then, suddenly, his eyes begin to glow with a terrifying brilliance, and all that blood starts to spread and starts to get sucked into the body. A guy asks everyone to look carefully. The blood is heading towards the statue's eyes. Damn, what a red glow. The protagonist already thinks that there is no way they can face this. The girl already thinks this thing is S-class. The guy also thinks it's not a mistake. This thing is also S-class. That red glow is a problem. They are immobilized, and not even the power transfer will work now. That statue starts to shake, and those thorns start to come out of its body. Then, suddenly, several of them come towards everyone in that room, without them being able to do anything. After all, they are immobilized. The guy starts to break out in a cold sweat, watching the thorns coming towards him, and believes they can't escape from there. Then suddenly, those bone spikes pierce everyone in that room, and the deduction was completed. So this means they can't look directly into the statue's eyes. Otherwise, they will be paralyzed. Suddenly, the girl starts saying the same thing. She won't be able to take anyone there, but she won't leave alone. The guy asks everyone to see the blood going into the statue's eyes. But the protagonist asks no one to look at the statue. Everyone is supposed to close their eyes. That being is at least S-class. They can't look at the red glow in their eyes. A guy can't believe how this is possible, but the protagonist says he is now part of their team. It's up to them to trust him this time. One guy just tells them to listen to him. Everyone obeys and closes their eyes. It's best to backtrack quickly and spread out across the warehouse, while the statue continues to emanate that red glow. Unfortunately, now with their eyes closed, how will they know where the attack is coming from? What if the enemy attacks? A guy just thinks he has a really strange feeling of sluggishness in his body, just because the light reached his body. Imagine if they had opened their eyes. But suddenly, that statue starts activating its spikes again. The guy then shouts that the spikes are coming from above. Then the girl uses space magic and transfers all the thorns to another location. He actually managed to predict what was about to happen, but this situation is different from the previous ones. Based on the being's attacks, with each counterattack we make, it will create a butterfly effect. The situation changes quickly. there are many darts and possibilities. They cannot completely predict the outcome of this, so next time he will try this method for the first time. He then uses his real-time deduction again. The statue continues attacking everyone, but the girl continues to protect, now using her shield. Although they are not paralyzed, their abilities are now considerably limited, and their movements are also slower and also disorganized. The guy starts to doubt, is this guy telling the truth? Because it also really looks like an S-class power, while our protagonist thinks, what will be the next attack? Then it goes into deduction mode again. While the girl is using her space magic, unfortunately, this time she was not able to repel all the spikes. Everyone in that room is completely pierced right now. He just says that the attack is from the side, and the frozen leader activates an ice spear and manages to repel all the bone spikes. The speed of that being is fast. The attack is almost inevitable, and apparently, the newcomer's orders coincide with the movement in which the being attacks. If it weren't for him, there simply wouldn't be time to defend himself. Is that guy the only one in a million to have time control, or is that impossible? While our protagonist is thinking about trying to block a new attack, using deduction to save a defense chance. Then he goes back in and notices another attack. Only this time, the thorns come in a spiral from the left. He then tells Jelong that the attack will come from the left. Better defend yourself quickly. But suddenly, the guy is completely pierced. After all, he doesn't know how to defend himself. He's just a support, poor guy. The protagonist, observing that scene, thinks that he doesn't look like a healer. Then it exits deduction mode. He tells Jelong that he doesn't have any time. Everyone better speed up. One guy then starts activating his Class A skill instant step. While the protagonist says he's coming, everyone better move back. Unlike last time, those bone spikes now cause explosions. Damn, the pressure was terrifying. A guy starts to think that this newbie even knows Jelong's battle type. Isn't it temporal control, or is it perception? Apparently they won't be able to call this guy a rookie again. Our protagonist says that the next one is now on the floor. They don't jump using the girl's ability, and several spikes come out of the ground, almost piercing everyone there. One guy says there's another attack coming after him. It seems that as they move, their abilities reveal themselves more. A guy starts shouting that now the attack is coming from all sides around him, while the girl uses the shield to protect him. Apparently, that being thinks he is the one responsible for defending all the attacks, and it is directing all attacks towards the protagonist. Now his spirit is reducing more and more, but at least when he opened his eyes during the deduction, he realized that they were close to the exit. He then tells everyone to walk diagonally backwards and to the right and asks the guy to avoid it, and suddenly, the two come face to face with each other. The two, still with their eyes closed, begin to argue. One guy starts saying that they don't know the difference between right and left, but the other already said that. In combat between teams, just say north or south, east or west. What's your problem, newbie? A guy immediately tells him to shut up, while the other says, whoever doesn't know left and right, I'm still stupid. Then the girl gets the support on her back, while the two fight and carry them, telling everyone to go clockwise. While back there, the being still continues to explode everything with its bone spikes. He is increasingly lacking the spirit of deduction, while saying to protect the left side, protect the right side, increase speed. The protagonist tells her not to fly up anymore, because she's going to hit the wall. The door is straight ahead, while the thorns are coming after him. One last step. That was close. They managed to get through that thin metal door that was trapping them. That statue then begins to close its eyes. Finally, they managed to escape. His mental energy was almost depleted, and his bison powers must be depleted as well. After all, that was a Class S being. A guy then pulls the newbie by the tie and gives him a smile, telling him to be honest. What is he hiding anyway? Then, suddenly, he just gets hit in the back of the head. While the protagonist doesn't understand what is happening, another blow comes, and all four of them are quickly laid down, apparently by the crazy population. Then suddenly, he feels like he is awake. Is that what happened? But he refuses to open his eyes. His mental energy is completely full. So, here's the deal. If his mental energy recovers 1 point for every minute of rest, it means he was unconscious for at least 2 hours and is now tied up. Who could have tied him up? A spirit? Or a person? Naturally, I think it was a person. Everything is very quiet, and no one is watching him, apparently. But he decides not to act hastily and open his eyes suddenly. That statue is in front of him. Then, suddenly, he starts to deduce and realizes that he is in a room full of stuffed dolls tied to a bed. It looks very ordinary and quite cozy. He tried to get up. He thought he had become a sacrifice to those gods again. It seems like they just found a random room and locked him there. Good. But suddenly he notices an open window and looks at that in the sky. Scarlet clouds, very red. This is the sign of those high-level portals. They are about to appear. It chipped. He decides to get out of there before those creatures appear. But before that, he needs to know where the other team members are. So he decides to find a way to free himself from those ropes, and apparently there are scissors nearby. That room is completely decorated. It looks like a child's room, a girl's room. It's the first time he's entered a girl's room, but when he sets foot on the floor, apparently there are two horrifying eyes looking under the bed, about to catch him. He actually managed to cut those strings, so now he needs to run away and look for help on his own. But the being keeps getting up back there, and suddenly he notices a threatening presence. He turns and looks back and sees a very ugly animal. It looks like a cat mixed with a human, but very big and thirsty, drooling with hunger, staring straight into his eyes. The cat starts to open its mouth, and a tongue like Symbiosis' tongue appears, and just bites the guy's shoulder, while the guy screams a lot. The guy was already lying on the floor, while that one dragged his leg under the bed, and suddenly, he was already my son. He became dead. His mental energy has been reduced by 20 points. Deduction closed. He incredibly lost 20 points. That death was a very painful death. He didn't die instantly. No, he was just torn apart completely alive. This is no ordinary room. There's a spirit under his bed. Well, the torture begins again. He thinks that as long as he doesn't get out of bed, he won't be attacked. But he also can't stay there forever. He looks at the window and sees that the portal is opening. It's ridiculous. He can't think of anything, how to deal with that spirit. After all, he is still weak in combat skills. He remembers that that guy was emanating black smoke. This means that in that world, life forms are divided into 3 types. 1. Living beings. 2. Spirits. 3. Living beings that due to prolonged contact with the spirit were infected by the energy of spirits and lost their mental sanity, characterized by spiritual energy. So, it means that that thing under the bed is not a real spirit, but an infected living being. Then he steps on the ground again and starts to enter his state of deduction and thinks that those living beings are not as strong as true spirits, and he is determined not to give up. So he starts running to get those scissors and quickly cuts the ropes, and maybe he can get out of there alive, fighting with the scissors. Poor guy. A being then emanates and begins to look at him again. All the confidence he had until now is gone, my brother. Unfortunately, he was torn apart again and lost another 20 points of mental energy. Damn, no chance of winning, poor guy. Really, those action manga are such lies. Yelling catchphrases doesn't create miracles, without a doubt, my son. Really, weak people shouldn't leave their home. Is it because he wanted to be a hunter? But he quickly had an idea. If every time he starts to get out of bed, that animal comes and attacks him again, then it means that the bed is low, and his vision is only on the underside of the bed. So the vision is also low. If he wants to stay alive, he has to pick up the scissors without stepping on the ground. He realizes that there is a chair right nearby, so that means he just jumps on the chair and then jumps on the table, and boom, he is very close to leaking out of there. He doesn't know if that door is locked or not. If it's locked, she'll be able to reach the table handle. Then, he starts to enter his state of deduction and decides to try. First, he jumps on the chair. In fact, he did it. After all, the monster didn't come out. Now, he jumps on the table. So you manage to cut all those ropes, and the next step is very risky, opening the door. He realizes that even though he can't reach the handle, the door isn't locked. It's just leaning against it. He tries to grab the handle on the table, but he still can't. Suddenly the door opens and he manages to hang onto the door and the portal and steps outside and closes the door. Damn, how lucky. He actually managed to escape and is now in the room. But suddenly, a sinister hand hits his shoulder, and there is a terrifying 4-armed creature, tremendously tall and strange, saying that he has finally found him. The monster comes very close and says to him, "Look, dear, what do you want to eat tonight? Beef, rotten rat meat, maggots, mud, or corpses?" Wow, my brother, look at all the teeth on this animal. You're crazy. He breaks out in a cold sweat and thinks that, other than meat, none of the other foods are normal. Beef. That's the only option different from the others. That must be it. He then tells the monster that he must eat beef tonight. The monster closes its mouth and finds it very strange. As he thinks, did he make a mistake? The monster then starts screaming and grabs his face. As he screams no, he pulls some strange strands from his head with another hand, and it looks like the protagonist's head is going to explode. the monster starts screaming, saying that he is not her daughter. "Get out of my house." He starts to drag the protagonist using his arm on some wires connected to his head and throws him outside the window with tremendous force, shouting for him to get out. He is thrown out of the window of an extremely tall building and the deduction is over. Mental energy lost 18. Holy crap, it's the first time he dies by being thrown to the ground. That feeling is tremendously horrible. He felt all of his bones and muscles completely crushed into the ground and torn apart by the impact. Next time, before he dies, he needs to end the deduction quickly. If he can react in time, maybe he can save some mental energy points. Looking at your system, it thinks your mental energy has increased by 1 point, now 159. Going through that intense, extreme mental pain increases the mental energy limit, but the cost is very high, bro. He still has 100 points of mental energy, maybe 10 more tries. If he tries all the answers to what he's going to eat tonight, he might still figure it out, but that would be a huge waste. After all, when he uses up all his mental energy, he will need to rest for at least 2 hours, and the sky is already showing several signs that he really needs to get out of there. He tries to think somehow while cutting the strings to find a correct answer this time, and he thinks and tries to stay calm and thinks and thinks and thinks some more, all the while trying to calm down. But he keeps remembering the feeling of being torn apart and torn apart. That feeling never leaves his head, poor guy. Why is he thinking about this? This guy just wanted to be an ordinary student. Lie. He wanted to have some kind of job after graduating and date someone. A lie. He wanted to find his mother. Everyone knows that. And then have kids and pay the mortgage, living a predictable life. Oh, he's doing this to find his mother. Now, you remember the objective, right? Shameless. But what if his mother was there? She wouldn't want to see him in that situation, without a doubt, because it's very dangerous. The more he thinks, the more his head becomes tremendously confused. Then, suddenly, a snap in his head. He sees a diary from the owner of that room. It appears to be a girl's diary. He starts reading and sees, "Dear Mommy, the 12th of November, Monday, sunny weather. Today marks 4 years, and it's her birthday. Mom gave me a diary. Thank you very much, Mom. Mom is my great hero. I love her so much, Mom." He remembers that spirit in the room kept saying that he is not her son. So, he arrives on the 23rd of December, Thursday, in sunny weather. Today he told his teacher and classmates that he lives in a happy family. When she came home, Mom said it wasn't a family of 5, but 4. Rio Preto is not our family. But she thinks that Mom is very wrong, and when she grows up, she will buy him a little house and really delicious cat food. What an adorable little girl. A very loving family. So on the 2nd of March, Monday, it was written in the diary that her grandmother was very sick. And then on the 1st of April, her grandmother's mental state and illness became increasingly worse. She asked Grandma about paradise and death, and for the first time, Grandma hit her. But she doesn't blame Grandma, poor thing, because Grandma cried more than she did. On the 23rd of June, it was very rainy, and it had been almost 6 months since she went to school. Grandma said that children don't need to go to kindergarten, and they need to save money for Grandma's treatment. She agreed, unfortunately, because she wants Grandma to get better. Mom also hasn't worked for 6 months because she has to take care of her sick Grandma. She's so tired, poor thing. And today, for the first time, she saw Grandma and Mom fight. Grandma simply took all the money from the school and gave it to God. And on the 16th of September, from then on, Grandma and Mom fought every day. Grandma was saying that God could save Grandma, and Mom says it's all a devil, that everything has a price. On the 9th of August, it had been 2 years since she had gone to school, and she wanted to go to school, unfortunately, to eat some snacks, play outside, and see lots of nice people. She doesn't like this house much anymore. She doesn't like Mommy's bad food anymore. She doesn't like Grandma's cough or the smell of medicine all over the house. She doesn't like anything there. Everything is strange. On the 28th of March at night, Grandma sneaked out. When she returned, she was carrying a bottle of medicine. Grandma started screaming and didn't want Grandpa to take that medicine. Afterwards, Grandpa calmed down and said he wouldn't take the medicine. Grandpa said that, in truth, he didn't want to leave them or that house, or go to paradise either. On the 10th of November, it was her 7th birthday, and she arrived so excited to receive her gift. After all, she wanted to prepare a surprise for her beloved family, and she wanted to grow up quickly and become strong and free. And suddenly, the diary ran out of pages. It ended. The diary ended there. Damn, what happened to that family? But now he knows what they're going to eat that night. Well then, based on what is written in the diary, that little girl in the room is the daughter of the spirit in the living room, and in that diary, there are several extremely detailed records of that girl's daily habits. Then, he enters his state of deduction and arrives at the part where the spirit asks what they are going to eat that night: rats, beef, or rotten meat, larvae, sludge, or body. For some reason, that girl's mother and attachment after death turned her into a spirit, but she still cares a lot about her daughter. And he turns around and tells the spirit that he doesn't like anything she cooks. She wants to eat snacks. The spirit then takes his hand and starts saying that children can't eat too many snacks, while he thinks he just needs to follow the diary entries and act based on what the girl acted too. He starts saying that they can't eat snacks because they don't have money to eat, right? Actually, that spirit didn't attack him, and she mistook him for her daughter. The spirit starts to grab him while he is in a cold sweat with those hands, those grotesque claws, and starts to say that, "Mommy, I'm going to go out and play with my friends, okay?" I had already made an appointment, but the spirit says he can't leave there because it's already late and no one can leave the house at midnight. The guy starts acting like a spoiled kid and starts screaming and crying, "Mom, Mom, I don't want dinner. I want a snack. I want to go out to play. There's a little more money to spend." He begins to realize that talking is one thing, but acting is much easier than he imagined, because he's just a kid, right? He remembers when his mother was alive. It was very similar to this, but unfortunately, he doesn't remember her face yet, just small shadows of glimpses. It was so good on days with his mother. I'm on, bro. I think his mother is that person who had the ability to predict before, who disappeared, without a doubt. The spirit hands him a plate of food and tells him to be good and eat it all. He begins to observe the delicious dish in front of him. Holy shit. So those were the dinner dishes that she listed that were real. Why is there a human body in the middle of there? Now he understands. The dishes have maggots. They have human fingers. They have rats. Everything is good and the best. How delicious, my friend. Now he understands that in that poor neighborhood, someone is using the spirits to kill. Even if the police find out, the blame can be placed on the spirits. Those spirits may have already killed several people thrown into that room. He shouldn't be the first. But what if it was a human who threw him there? Why didn't that spirit attack whoever brought him there? The spirit comes closer and starts drooling, asking what else his little daughter wants to eat. Whatever her baby wants, Mommy will give. The guy starts to sweat, wondering how much longer this torture will last. The simulation limit is 10 minutes, and it is almost over. He needs to find a quick solution to end this spirit or get out of this situation. That spirit said that late at night you cannot go out. In other words, in her perception, it is dawn now. So, he takes the spirit's hand and says that whenever they said something, that she works hard. It's already late. Don't worry so much about me, and goes to sleep. The spirit fell silent, froze. Did he exaggerate, or was he too artificial in his words? It chipped. It seems that the spirit realized that he is not her son, but suddenly, that spirit starts to hug him with his 4 arms. A very strong hug, crying tears of blood. He says, or she says, the spirit says that her daughter has grown so much. She's learning to take care of her mommy. Look, Mom was very emotional, but the guy finds this very scary. That emotional spirit is even more terrifying. Bloody tears streaming down his face. Damn. The guy then pulls her weave out of the room and tells her to go into the room and get some rest. Apparently that room is supposed to be her room. If he can get her there and she's really calm, it won't be too scary. His plan is as follows. Make that spirit sleep, and as soon as she sleeps, he will leak into the living room and get out of there. But then, suddenly, he sees a bottle of medicine and sees that it's a bottle of sleeping pills. Does Mom have insomnia problems? It looks like there's a little bit in there. He picks up the bottle of medicine and tells Mom to take a little, because so she can sleep better. The spirit takes the medicine bottle and begins to scratch her head, thinking she never had insomnia problems and never needed sleeping medicines. Why does the room have sleeping medicines? Choked. Now the protagonist is shocked. The spirit remembered everything and she is already dead. Why did she die? Why, my son? My daughter was lost and no one has ever been found. That means that guy there is not his son. Now, our protagonist went to ditch. The monster begins to growl and advance toward him with his 4 arms and his mouth full of teeth. The spirit begins to say that he is not his son. Where is his daughter? Where's my daughter? Damn. That being recovered his memory, and he needs to end the simulation immediately. The spirit starts to scream, "Have my dear daughter Tintin? Where are you?" Choked. He knows that name. Her daughter's name is exactly the same as Tintin's colleague, who died a week ago. Unfortunately, he could not save his colleague. The spirit begins to open that big mouth, threatening to eat it at once. As he distracted himself and suddenly swallowed, the guy went to the grave, completely torn, and he lost 20 energy points. This means he was slowly killed and eaten. He wakes up tremendously trembling, and after taking all those ropes on the table, he is remembering the unbearable pain of that mouth, full of teeth, stuck in his flesh. But this time, he doesn't want to give up. A week ago, he couldn't even save that colleague, Tintin, and that was the greatest regret of his life. But this time, he wants to help this mother, who also has a daughter named Tintin. Even if her mother has become a spirit, a mother is always a mother. What if it was with him? It doesn't matter that his mother has become. She would always be his mother, and think Tintin would think the same. Then he steps outside and asks if his mother works hard, which today he will prepare dinner. After all, her daughter disappeared, and his mother is missing too. He has many fresh ingredients in that house, while the spirit continues to watch. Although he doesn't know where his daughter is, if she comes back, she will surely want to have a good meal with her mother. The spirit begins to look at that tremendous food. While he thinks that this is the first time he has chosen not to activate the simulation but is not afraid at all, he asks that mother spirit to eat together. And at that moment, apparently, it seems to be just a family dinner, without waste or loss. That room before was full of dust. While he picks up and hides the medicine, he says Mama works hard, and it's for her to sleep early. And he also imagines that this girl also disappeared, and Tintin's mother avoided getting into that room. Poor, because she was afraid to remember her daughter. So in that diary, she was probably never opened by her mother. He then starts to leave the room, thanking Mom that she is his heroine, and he loves her. The feeling of that girl, he managed to pass to that spirit, while the spirit lying says that her little girl grew up. Good night, and tears of blood comes out of your eyes. Now, the mother's situation has been resolved, but he keeps thinking he couldn't save that colleague in the past and future. If he has the opportunity, he will find more clues about her disappearance. Bai Gentile was right to criticize him. Is this too sentimental? How can you sympathize with the spirit? He remembers that there is still another room next door. That house has 3 bedrooms and a room. In the first room, there is that infected creature. In the second, the spirit of the mother who lost her daughter. And the third, what does it have? You so linked that you have 2 couple of 12 yet, right? He decides not to test what he has in that room. He doesn't want to know what happened to that whole family, and just wants to get out of there fast. Meet others. But before opening that door, he thinks and begins to enter a paranoia. What if you have more spirit in the hallway? But he still has mental energy points and decides to use them to see how the situation is outside before leaving. Then he opens the door and suddenly someone interrupts, asking if he can, she along with him. Heck, another spirit, and this time completely different. Impossible. Wasn't that family a family of 4? How can there be someone else inside? Heck, neither gender nor age beat. Why is that being there? That's it. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If this video hit the goal, we will run after the next parts. Thanks for watching and staying with the next video.